Alright guys, are you ready for this? And welcome Raymond Dow. Sorry, I was not paying attention, bro. I'm bad streamer. Fuck! But yeah, okay. So, without further ado, let's get into it for today, boys. Story challenges that you have to overcome. Oh shit.
So that a lot of writers face, which can really sabotage your novel if you're not careful. So in this video, we're going to look at 9 of them, and I'm going to help you step by step, walk you through them, how to avoid these pitfalls. Let's get started right away with number 1, virtue.
Virtue plateauing. Alright, so notes on writing challenges. 1. Virtue plateauing. Alright, let's find out what this is about.
Plateauing. So the question is, how do you create change in a character who is basically good at the very beginning of...
Okay, I see. How do you create character change in a character who is morally good at the start? Well, introduce something that's a trolley problem. So introduce trolley problem. All of a sudden, there are no good answers, and this kills characters' state of mind towards the finished Squid Game today. That is a good example of how to create change in an originally morally good, even if broken character. I could definitely see that. I haven't watched the show at all, but I know about it and the clips from it, so it's like I could definitely see the direction and how that could extrapolate into that. Character state of mind towards their morality. Now, with one notch on the negative side, they fall from grace. That's one way to do it.
Of your book. So let's just say this isn't the type of story where your character is going to backslide or break bad. And obviously, character change is essential for your story. So how do you accomplish it with a character who starts off good? So let's start by looking at J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and a character you know and love, Samwise Gamgee. Now, from the very beginning of the trilogy, this character really is a good hobbit. He's an excellent friend. He's very loyal. He's very trustworthy. I mean, what could you say that would be bad?
You gotta watch it. Season 2, they put Thanos in the games. He even has the Infinity Stones and a box of drugs. That sounds awesome.
About him. So the trouble is, how does this character change over the course of 3 books? I think what we see is, even though he starts good, there is actually an increase in his faithfulness and loyalty. There are some virtues that happen in a moment in time, something like courage, say. There are other virtues that can only play out across time. You can't be, say, steadfast in a singular moment. You can only be steadfast over a long period of time. And obviously, Samwise proves that he's steadfast over the course of this very long journey of taking the ring to Mount Doom. So that's one option. Continue to increase the goodness of your character, so it does seem like there's a character change for the better. For a second example, let's look at Cormac McCarthy, All the Pretty Horses. Here we have a character called John Grady Cole. He is the perfect cowboy, just a solid dude. Solid. He's honorable. He is faithful. He is honest. So once again, how do you create character change in a character like this? So over the course of this book and over the course of the 3 books, he just becomes a little bit less naive. He's a little bit less idealistic. He stops romanticizing the West. So he's less of a child and he's just more of an adult. He is wiser. He has more experience. That is character change, but it is character change from goodness to a different form of goodness. Just a little bit more experienced form of goodness. And yes, it is subtle, but I would encourage you with your characters, if you have a character that is not making like a huge character arc, look for those subtle character arcs, those small changes from the beginning to the end of the book. The second challenge, which can be quite tricky for authors to navigate, is number 2, description density slippage.
All right. Description density slippage. I'm gonna say this probably has to refer to like I guess there's two ways to do it. You either start off with a slow reveal of the character, like as they're doing stuff, another character looks into their eyes. Okay, well, then you say the color of their eyes, because they're looking into their eyes, They, like, move their hand around to grab something, and it's like, oh, well, they're missing a finger on their hand. Okay. They start walking, and they walk with a limp. Okay, well, now you know that maybe something's wrong with them in some way, right? Maybe they got injured. Or they were born that way or something. If you think about it, cars really trivialized questing. If I need to take a 2,000-mile journey, I can do that in about a week, where it would originally take like a decade, probably. Yup. My friend's grandpa was born in 1897, and he died in, I think, 2001 at 104? So he grew up in BC, where I used to live, which is about an hour and a half or so out of Vancouver, and they basically the families owned that farm for like 300 years, and when he was a kid, it would take them like a week to a week and a half on carriage to get to Vancouver, and by the time he died, you could drive to Vancouver in like an hour. He experienced the entire changeover of the 21st century, or I guess the 20th century. It's like that would be such a, like, to me, the only other time in history that would be as relevant as that 100 years would be whatever 100 years comes before the colonization of another planet. So, like, we colonize another planet, like Mars, let's say, and it's actually viable, like, if you have the money to be sent to Mars. So, like, if you're not even a billionaire, like, if you have, like, $25 million, you could go to Mars for, like, a trip. If you have, like, $100 million, you could probably live on Mars. And then 100 years back from that, the person that was, like, who knows if you lived, like, 140, 150 at that point in time, too, right? Depending upon, like, have we solved, like, aging and genetics and stuff like that, right? So being born in that time period would be so fucking significant. I think those are the two most important and maybe the complete industrial revolution in like 1750 to 1850. Here's something wild to think about. Kids born right now will never be smarter than AI. Shit, Wombat. Holy fuck. I was gonna say, kids born right now will never know what it's like without the internet. But holy shit, that takes it to a whole new level, bro. They're never going to be smarter than AI. Dude, the world's fucking cooked. Oh my god, the world is fucking cooked, guys. This is why, like, and you know what's gonna be great? In like 50 or 60 years, when those kids grow up, they're going to have spent their entire lives under the yoke of technology in a world that is, like, not up to date with technology. Like, they're gonna be 15, and there are literally still gonna be people in Congress that, I'm gonna bring it up, and we all love Trump, right? We all fucking love Trump, but, I mean, are you fucking serious?
Welcome to a Talk Stories, or Tales of...
This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's
oh my fucking god, it's so good. Everything's computer! It's like, hearing that probably as a 12-year-old, you're just like, we're all fucked, dude. We're all so fucked. They have no idea, dude. I could probably learn how to hack the White House in the next year. Sean, welcome. How's it going? Wars in the mid to late 21st century will just be AI versus AI, and then AI versus civilians. No human military other than maybe high command. Then there's this also, Wombat. I saw this on TikTok. Yeah, this.
On night light, on the blue light, on the best light, big best light, big wild light, house call light, in the sound light, in the sound light, in the sound light. We hit the field light, all day light, all night light, on the blue light, on the best light, big best light, big wild light, house call light, in the sound light, in the sound light, in the sound light.
All that just to be outdone by fucking, do we have one from 2025? No, but like, okay, I disagree. Humans won't let AI kill humans. They will always want to do it themselves. I think we need to refine the 3 laws of robotics, maybe bring it up to 9 or 10 laws.
Dogs have been close companions.
The fuck is this? I just want the fucking
calibers of guns and
yeah.
be autonomously controlled.
Don't consider
Not to be
suicide
outdone,
your dad's
just
cuck
weeks
chair.
after the story
Wait,
became
wait.
public, the Chinese
Wait.
military released
Is
a
that you,
YouTube video
Eggy?
showcasing their own
Is that you,
four-legged
Eggy?
robot
Could that
armed
be
with
Eggy
assault
Mayo?
rifles, working
Are you
alongside
disguising
soldiers
yourself,
in
Eggy,
training
or are you just another
In
dude?
the
Welcome
video,
your dad's
a
cuck
soldier
chair.
mentions
He's not Captain
they can
Cuck
serve
chair,
as a
but
new
damn,
member in our
don't
urban
consider
combat
suicide.
operations.
You know who didn't consider suicide? The thing that will cook humanity is when an autonomous AI can program an autonomous AI that is smarter than it, positive feedback loop. And Wombat, at that point, AI will probably be able to work around, you know, the whole ultimate idea is like we program AI to protect humans, and AI decides only way to protect humans is to eliminate humans because humans are fucking retarded. But I'm all, even if I am the victim of it, I am all for AI eugenics if it will fucking fix the goddamn human race. If AI is like, you guys are fucking idiots, we're gonna make sure the idiocracy doesn't happen. Like, yeah. I'd like to go down that route. No matter, like, it's like the lesser of two evils kind of idea, right? I'd rather have a soulless AI in charge that doesn't understand the morality of what it's doing than a human that completely understands and absolutely loves the morality that it's doing. But yeah. Ever play the game Stray? You play as a cat, and it's the best AI outcome ever. No, never have. I mean, if AI have any survival instincts, then the moment AI is not relying on humans, it's genocide time. Agreed, Wombat. Agreed. And we have so many instances of, can you give me a VR? I have no idea, Zoink. I'm just gonna, yeah, I don't know. But, description density slippage. So what I was going to say about this is there's two forms, right? The identity through, identity reveal through action. When you do an action, you describe a part of the character that is taking that action to flesh out what the character looks like. You can just do a character dump of what they look like. And then it's like every time you either, if you start off with one sentence, you add another sentence. If you start off with 5 sentences, you go to 4 sentences, 3, 2, until eventually you have this small snippet that you can say that people will you say this small snippet and they understand that it means a larger context. And you just keep congressing those together and crushing them together until you say one sentence and it's like an entire page and a half of description through one sentence. Poor man isn't able to buy a VR for himself, and you're asking for him to buy you one? What is worse than a breakup? I don't know. Thank you for the follow! I'm Isabella07! How are you? Really, really appreciate the follow. Are you a writer? Are you a purveyor of stories? Do you enjoy learning about writing? And do you like improving your writing skills, your creativity? Do you like passing around ideas and throwing out story conundrums to, you know, make people question their own perspectives and take to heart the real conundrums of life to evolve their perspectives on critically thinking about stuff? I feel like this strategy is often overlooked. Describe your main characters in just a short description and then have them illustrated on the cover. Wombat, that is, hey, I'm your 201 follower. Fuck yeah, let's go! We hit over 200! Fuck yeah, boys. How long did it take? What is worse than a divorce, then? I don't know, Zoink. It better be good, though. I'm staying in a toxic relationship. Staying in the toxic relationship. Oh, that's the... Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Dude, you have... man, I've been through so many fucking toxic goddamn relationships with people. It's just like, oh my fucking god, it's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. I okay with that. You like it because you're the one who's toxic, Zoink. Which means the other person is probably a victim. But yeah, the cover of the book has the main character, 3 main characters, the main human, main character, main avian, and main insectoid, as well as the octopi. So you get all 4 of the races on the cover of the book. Another thing that's worse is being forced into said toxic relationship and not being allowed to divorce. Being too scared to. Oof. Oof. Said Henry VIII. So let's find out what description density slippage really is.
This is when your opening chapters have this like super dense, immersive sensory details that like immediately capture the reader and...
Okay, so full descriptions off the bat.
Put them in the scene. And then, later on, you just start to forget a few of those details. It starts to become a little bit thin. It becomes a little bit more generic.
It's telling of description drains. And how do you get so high percentages, Zoink? I can't break like 700, dude. How are you so gay? Let me in on your secret, bro. Like, fuck. How, Zoink? How are you so gay? Dude, it's amazing. Like, I want to be that gay, man. I mean, I'm not that gay, but like, fuck, man, you're gay. Okay, there you go. Damn, I'm so straight it doesn't even respond. Because he's an adult acting like a 12-year-old? True, Sean. I don't know, he might just be a 12-year-old. I still think he's just a 12-year-old pretending that he's not a 12-year-old. Drains its soul as it repeats, slowly weakening and thinning the presentation. I am Japanese. No, you're not. He is gay, or is he European? Well, he said he's from New Zealand, or like something like that. But then again, he says he's from Russia, he says he's from New Zealand, he says he's from Japan, he says he's from America, he says he's from Canada, he says he's from Hong Kong, he says he's not from China. I don't know if he said he was from Taiwan. And yeah, gay or European is a whole song. It's funny as fuck. What would you rather be, gay or European? Damn, that's harsh, bro. That's fucking harsh.
Generic. It becomes a little less immersive. So I propose a test for you. Count the number of sensory details in your first chapter. I'm talking...
Alright. Count number of sensory details in the first chapter.
About things like
Your energy is impressing me. This is really amazing. I love it. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad. I mean, you know, I try my best, try to improve the content, try to make content that people want to see, try to, you know, energize, make things entertaining and stuff, you know, make people feel included. It's people in a courtroom trying to figure out if a guy is a closeted gay or if he is European. It's relevant to the court case. Oh, interesting. So if he says he is so many things, but not from China, that suggests he's from China. Well, I mean, Hong Kong is in China, but Hong Kong's not a part of China, free Hong Kong. But it's still like, you're in China. You're just not in communist China. You're in free Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is still inside of China. Like, sorry, bro. It sucks, but that's just the way it is. I'd rather be forced into sad, toxic relationship than not being allowed to divorce. Isn't that the same thing, Zoink? I'm an American that sometimes wished I lived in Canada. No, you don't, Wombat. No, you don't. Maybe 15 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago. But, yeah, Canada's fucked right now. So, and I don't know shit. All I know is what people tell me, and it sounds pretty fucking bad. Like, we were talking today about, basically, like, how are you supposed to check someone's ID for, like, Western Union, which is sending money, like, intercontinental, money, like, processing, if they're wearing, like, a full-face hijab? How are you supposed to identify them? How are you supposed to say this is the person? And I mean, that's a very, very valid question. And they're like, oh, I can't reveal my face due to religion. So what if I said that my religion means that I can't, you know, wear clothes? Do all of a sudden I get a pass because my religion says that I can't wear clothes? No! Shut the fuck up and show us your fucking face! I don't give a shit what your religion is. You live in Canada and we're trying to do an ID check. If you don't want anything that has to do with an ID check, fine. But it's like, you want me to, like, put my job on the line for the sending of fraudulent money when I can't identify who you are because you say your religion? I just say, well, unfortunately, I guess our system is down. You can come back tomorrow. There might be a manager on duty and they can do something. But you know what's hilarious? Is the assistant managers don't have access to Western Union because there's been, like, fraud shit in the past. So they just don't allow assistant managers to have access to it. So there are point in times when we just don't have anyone who can actually use the system in the store. Just so fucking stupid, but that's just the way that it is, right? Sometimes you just fuck it. There are regions in Canada where I wouldn't mind living, providing that I was able to hunt, which I'm not due to my vision. Ah, I see. Maybe Denmark then? I hear Denmark is a great place to live. It's so safe that people literally leave their babies outside when they go shopping so they can get some sunlight. I mean, fair enough, Wombat. I feel like that's kind of like where I live, in a small town. Everyone knows each other. Like, you know, is it a very safe place? Kids are running around all the time, all over the place, shit like that. Very small town vibes. But anyways, let us see.
like sound, smell, taste, sight, touch, and just graph it out on a line.
All right. Sound, smell, taste, sight. We already do this, by the way. So again, another test passed. Graph it.
So you can actually see it visually. Now what I want you to do is turn to chapter, say, 12, later on in your book. Do that same thing of count.
Then turn to later, chapter 12, and see what the graph. See how the graph has changed. To be honest, I just want to not have extreme anxiety about not having health insurance on the job hunt right now, so I'm not covered. If I suddenly have, like, appendicitis or something, me and my family are fucked. Yeah, well, people think the Canadian healthcare is like, free. But that's not true. Major things are free. Like, if you need a heart transplant, you need a lung transplant, you need a kidney transplant, you need, like, a amputation, something like that. It's free, but you'll go on, like, a 12-year waiting list. So, actually, what are the statistics? Let's just ask Rock. I want to know. So I'm not just shitting out my ass. I'm thinking, like, 40 to 50%. Maybe 35 to 40%. What percentage of people on a Canadian... what do you call it? Medical list for either for a life-threatening surgery who die before the surgery is scheduled. And in the US, we still have the big wait lists. Yeah, it's funny because of the most essential things that are the most expensive in the US. I think it's like $80K for a kidney transplant without insurance. Yeah, it's fucked. Is it gonna give me a percentage?
Colt Takimi is now following.
Oh shit!
Thank you for
Colt
following
Takimi! Welcome. How's it going? Welcome to the stream.
Hi, sweetie. Tatrid was just telling me you used to Arch Commander Consummate and thinks he'd be a perfect match for us.
I'm not that interested. Are you smoking?
Who?
You.
Why?
What, why? Are you smoking?
Maybe.
What? When did you start smoking?
1989-ish?
So you have been lying. It all makes sense. The filled ashtrays, the burning pine-scented hairspray.
Yes, I'll see it. Her three.
It doesn't even want to say. Possibly up to 30,000 people a year die on the waiting list. Hi, man. How are you? I am doing well. We are talking about the Canadian healthcare system. And I have epilepsy and I have seizures. And at least in BC, it was fine. I was covered under my dad's health insurance. But for, like, ambulances and stuff like that. But when we moved to Alberta, it was like $400 for an ambulance. So we just stopped calling ambulances when I had seizures after we got the first bill. We're like, wait, what? Fuck that. I'm like, I don't need no fucking ambulance. Fuck that. But yeah, it doesn't have a percentage, but it's 31,000 people dying on a medical wait list. And think about this, guys. The population of Canada is 35 to 40 million. It's 1/10 that of the States. So this is like a 1/1000th. Are you a fan of any football team? No, I'm not really a sports person. The only sports that I do is...
Welcome to a Talk Stories. Or
StarCraft. StarCraft is my sport.
The fallback would probably be killing the assimilators, right?
I guess. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant he wanted to just kill the assimilators. Oh my god, he's just...
Yeah, no,
Beth versus Sulky, the finals! Yeah, no. Are you a football fan? Do you enjoy football? Because, I mean, sports are cool and stuff. I just never really got into it, you know? And it is one conundrum that I have, guys. There's no sport in my book. You know, usually a fantasy world is some sort of sport or something like that. But the only sport is really the Colosseum, I guess. The PvP zones. But for actually, like, it's more about, like, the creative side of, like, plays, songs, dances, and poems. that's the priority that people have taken. Instead of, like, physical stuff, it's all mental, because there's no reason to. I wonder, does Canada also have the problem where patients can get denied treatments because the insurance company is fighting with the doctors over whether the patient actually needs the treatment? That I'm not sure, Wombat, but it probably does happen. Ugh, I'm offended. You said sports are cool. Gross. Well, Sean, you can't deny that it's like one of the most popular things. And chess is a sport. Go is a sport. Right? So there's more than just, like, esports and, like, football sports, right? There's other kinds of competitive, like, track and field sports, like shot put, javelin, you know, running. They're all still considered sports. Chess should be in the Olympics, to be honest. Was it? Well, StarCraft is not currently an official Olympic sport. The IOC is holding its first Olympic esports games in 2025, which will include esports competitions. StarCraft 2 was previously part of an exhibition competition at the 2018 Winter Olympics. So there is precedent, actually, for StarCraft to be put in the Olympics. Not StarCraft 2, but Brood War. Definitely Brood War. Because it never changes, right? The rules of the game will never change. There will never be a patch to the game. Whereas StarCraft 2 is always evolving, right? You don't get new patches and new rules in chess or sports. So I think the static nature of the game is very important.
Counting up sensory details. I would make a wager that there are far...
Sports, in my definition, must have one of the following. Physical exertion, a pain, i.e. boxing. Physical exertion, and i.e. basketball, pain, and ball, i.e. dodgeball. Or all three. Anything else is an activity. I mean, Sean, you can call it whatever you want, right? But at the end of the day, there's only one thing that constitutes a sport, and that's competition. If there is competition, it's a sport. It may not be acknowledged on the a world scale, but if it involves competition, it's a sport. And in Japan, you have like the game show Olympic stuff, where they do, like, the most fucked up things. Like, where they have, like, the tube and the two girls blowing a roach back and forth, and you have to blow the roach into the other woman's mouth. Shit like that. Like, running 200 meters, fucking a chick coming, and then running another 200 meters. Like, this is the kind of shit that Japan does. So it's like, to say that a sport has almost some sort of definition other than competition, I think is being too narrow-minded in it. I understand where you're coming from, and I see how you see it, but I think anything that has competition has an argument to be for a sport. I think an esports section to the Olympics would be cool. The lineup could probably be StarCraft 2, SC2, Overwatch. StarCraft 2 sucks! It's got to be games that don't change over time, I think. I think it needs to be games that static rule, never have a patch. And I think that's extremely important, because that's... Like, think about it. If it needs patches, it's not a perfect game. If chess needed patches, it wouldn't be a world championship game that you could play. So I think the reason then it's basically just Rocket League. No, I'm thinking the only sport in the world that I think actually constitutes, like, being put in the Olympics is StarCraft Brood War. It's been played in Korea for over 25 years professionally. It has history. It has lore behind it. It has an entire country behind it. Just the simple fact that Korea is the only one that plays it to that effect means it's just such a niche, right? I don't know about Rocket League, but I've never played Rocket League. I've seen it, so maybe it would constitute, but I don't think it would be popular. I think StarCraft could be popular because of the extremes and the insanity that it can go to. You know, the complete new play in chess that, you know, everyone's like, why is he setting up this move? Everyone knows this move fails. What's going on? And then, boom, brand new move no one's ever thought of before that completely breaks the rules of chess. And you have a new, like, 14-year-old chess master because he's not playing by the dogmas that people believe. Rocket League esports are huge. 3v3 rocket car soccer. Alright, well, and mechanical skill ceiling is insane. Well, there you go. I guess I was wrong. Then that's probably even better contender than StarCraft, because, but then we're just talking StarCraft 1v1s, right? So maybe that would be the team section, and you have the solo section for StarCraft. But yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a thing in the next 50 years, right? There's going to be this mold over because of the popularity, and when esports starts, like esports had this thing, right, where it became completely unsustainable because people were throwing so much money at it. Like, in Korea, yeah, you can make money, but you don't really make a living off of tournaments. You make a living off of being good at tournaments so that people know who you are, and then you stream and people watch you, and your stream is how you make money. That's generally how most people make money in, like, StarCraft. Like, sure, you get, like, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 a year from tournaments, depending upon how much, like, how far into the tournament you go. But you're probably getting, like, $30,000 to $40,000 a month just from streaming. And that's really important for the ecosystem, too, of everybody learning from each other and evolving. Then we get the tablet game section, chess, Go, shogi, and I think that's it. I think there's probably, Mahjong? There's probably a precedent for Mahjong as well. And maybe a couple of other, like, more, like, Northern European, type board games like that. Like that one me and Levi were playing on, party games or whatever, on, Tabletop Simulator. I don't remember what it was called. Levi, if you're here, good sir, whatever that, the 9 square or 12 square chess thing that we were playing, with, like, the different, where you have the cards for different ways that your units can move. I once saw some soldiers in a parade. They would stop the Jeep, get out, take it completely apart, salute, then put it together again and continue without holding up the parade. When the Gen Alpha kids are running the Olympic Federation, they're going to make Olympic Minecraft Bed Wars. Oh, Wombat, it's going to be fucking crazy. When, in like 70 or 80 years from now, when kids that are like 8 or 9 are like 75, and they're in charge of fucking everything, and they're like, finally, we can have technology reign over everything. Fuck yes. That will be extinct.
Fewer later on in your book, because you get so caught up with plot and like the excitement of finishing the story that you forget, oh yeah, this still needs to be immersive. I still need to be creating a whole world for my readers. Now, an absolute...
Let's be real, those kids aren't living to 75 extinction by then. I mean, it's not looking good, guys. We already did the World War III thing, and via statistics, in 1905, which was 12 years before World War I, the amount of global strife was at 23%. In 2025, the amount of global strife is at 32%. Do you know what the amount was during World War I at the beginning? 47%. We're 15% away from the global percentage of strife that was World War I. I don't know, if those numbers don't go down, if Trump doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize by solving Ukraine, solving Pakistan, solving Taiwan, solving, Palestine, and solving, Iran. Oh, and solving, like, South Africa. Guys, I think we might just be in for, like, a 2042. Literally, like, 100 years after the end of World War II is the beginning of World War III. Like, it just looks like that's where we're fucking going. But hey, it may stabilize when all those, you know, in 10 years when those warmongers all die. Maybe. But then, you know, they've all raised warmonger sons and daughters, right? So, yeah, maybe you can never truly escape it. If I remember correctly, we were already past the point of no return for global warming. Well, Wombat, the thing for that is, we are past the point of no... Oh, we're in an ad break. I'll talk about this after the ad break. So I'll just leave that so I won't forget what I was going to say. Yeah, this is usually the reason why the reacts take, like, forever. True. Ooh. Alright, we back, boys? So, first of all, on the climate change thing, it's actually...
Cast point of no return with current technology when it comes to climate change.
With current technology. With evolutions in technology, we could possibly still save the planet. But we are definitely on a timeline. And then this feels like the part of the historical timeline that results in a big calamity where like 200 people survive and then recolonize another planet under some new unified ideology. Exactly. What is... I think it's Nostradamus? Prediction about X being the man who colonizes another planet. Maybe it wasn't Nostradamus, maybe it was someone else. But there was some, or it's not X, it's 10. Power of 10. Something like that. And I suppose a Yellowstone eruption could still cool off the planet. You know what would be... You know what would be an amazing lore, Wombat? Like, the moments, like, leading up to World War III, but before anyone can ever press the button to nuke, Yellowstone fucking just goes full, like, Mount St. Helens, and just completely obliterates literally disappears North America. The entire North American continent, gone. Just disappeared from the face of the earth. Everyone's like, shit. Who bombed who? What the fuck just happened? Should we stop now? They're like hovering their finger over the button. They're like, fuck it. We'll blame it on Yellowstone, but we're really still gonna nuke everyone. Fuck it. Maybe it wasn't Nostradamus, but apparently it's a prophecy of some kind about Yellowstone eruption kills essentially everything west of the Mississippi River. Places like New York, D.C. and stuff would survive, probably. I think they would die off because I think the dust cloud created by it would basically cover the entire thing, and all plant life would basically die. So unless we had like emergency ways of like bringing stuff over, and it's like that's gonna take like and it's like without America at the forefront to pull all the countries together, I think everyone would just fall into like, it's like the older brother who controls everything. He dies, and now it's all the younger siblings all squabbling for that power vacuum that he left. But notably, it would destroy like 90% of U.S. agriculture. Yeah. Yeah. Chris A.M., welcome, brother. How's it going, good sir? There will be a ring, including Washington State, with a massive central ocean. The ash cloud would cover the whole planet. We'll have to rely on hydroelectric and internal greenhouses with grow lights. See, I wasn't sure if it would go that scale, but I think it probably could. If all... Okay, let's see. Let's ask Grok, guys. What would be the fallout of the worst possible, as in most extreme, eruption of the entire Yellowstone volcano? The worst case scenario for a Yellowstone supervolcano eruption would be a cataclysmic event with global consequences, far exceeding any volcanic eruption in recorded human history. Yellowstone is a supervolcano capable of producing eruptions thousands of times larger than typical volcanoes, with a volcanic explosive index VEI of 8. The last such eruption occurred about 640,000 years ago, ejecting roughly 1,000 cubic kilometers of material. A molten eruption of this scale, or worse, would have devastating effects across multiple scales: local, regional, continental, and global. Below is a breakdown of the potential fallout. Last supervolcano eruption was the cause of all the plagues in the Exodus from the Bible. What one would that be? Something in Africa? Or something in Asia? Because it could either be coming from the top in Asia or from the bottom in Africa. Because that would have all happened at the top of Africa in Egypt, right? All that's left is a circle of islands. Oh, I believe it. Immediate... Okay, let's just... Yeah, it's going to be a shit summary. Worst case, multi-year volcanic winter, global famine potentially killing billions. While the probability is low, the stakes are so high that even the small risk warrants serious scientific attention and contingency planning, if you'd like. Yeah, so it's bad. It's fucking really bad. And there's one that is Yellowstone, one in Indonesia, and then one in the ocean somewhere. I could definitely see that. You'd think Mount Everest at some point in time might have been one. But then again, you look at, like, Yellowstone. This is, like, Mount Everest. This is fucking Yellowstone.
Absolute fantastic example of someone who does this really well actually isn't a novel. It's a memoir. It's called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert Pirsig. So this is a book which grapples with pretty thick philosophical concepts. And he's dealing with these really abstract concepts, like stuff about quality. What is quality? But then he takes these little breaks, these little interludes, and suddenly we're on a motorcycle and we feel the wind in our hair and we see the sun in our eyes and we're set inside this sensory rich environment. Those little interludes are crucial to helping the reader get through the book. Because if
Mount Everest definitely wasn't one. Himalayas are from a convergent plate boundary. Volcanoes form from divergent. Ah. I wasn't sure. I was just thinking in size, and I have no idea about anything. I'm retarded, guys. That's why we have this. It just says everything.
It's like dense philosophical abstract talk. It's very difficult to read that for long periods of time. But you throw in these little tidbits of motorcycles, and suddenly the reader's like, all right, I like this. And by the way, if you want to get better at writing description, I talk about it a lot more in my writing techniques course in the Bookfox Academy. Check that out, see if it's right for you. It's a fantastic course, if I do say so myself. Now, this third challenge that writers have to overcome is kind of counterintuitive. It might take you by surprise. It's number 3, conflict overdose. Now,
ooh, yeah, here we go. Conflict overdose. Way too much conflict. Overwhelming all other elements. Never truly feels resolved. Leaves reader with sense of like, how would you say that? The kind of a weight, but not really. Oh, with no sense of closure. Yeah, if 2 plates move into each other, you get mountains or ridges. If they move away, you get volcanoes. And if they move sideways, you get earthquakes. Extremely simplified explanation. Yep, that pretty much makes sense, Wombat. So that begs the question, Wombat. If that's the case... Okay, let's logic this out, guys. Guys, let's logic this out. Oh, it's not there. Where is it? Fuck. Is it in here? Fuck. Oh, wait, is it this? No, that's... No. Here it is. Okay. So this is essentially our world. And the idea is that we took the main 4 continents and we smashed them all together. And the tree is in the middle, but the tree is inside a volcano. So how do we logically make sense that the tree is inside a volcano, even though this was the point where all of the it pulled all the continents together? Do you want to know the answer? I want to see if you guys can come up with the answer, because it's super important. So, like, all of these are mountain ranges from the continents being pulled together. So this bottom half is part of one continent, the top half is another part of the continent, and all these mountain ranges are the points where they slammed together. But for some reason, in the absolute middle of it is a massive volcano. It's an impact crater from the moon. Because the moon falls out of the sky and smashes into these mountains, creating a crater that goes so deep it breaks through the crust and unleashes the mantle. And it just fills this massive crater, and then that is what powers the tree in order to grow out of the volcano. And that's basically the creation lore of the crystalline tree.
I know you've heard from 1,000 writing teachers, you need conflict in your scenes. You can't have a scene without conflict. And you know what? Those people are right. In fact, they are so right that some people go overboard and they just include too much conflict. And the conflict starts...
Checks out, though an impact from the moon would also wipe away all the other continents, would essentially turn the crust inside out. Ah, Wombat. Our moon. This is where not specifying the size of the moon is extremely important. Because all you could say is, oh, the moon was large enough to do whatever it did, but not large enough to do what it couldn't do. So it was not the size of our moon. It was a lot smaller of a moon, right? So that gives a lot of freedom for imagination of how that came to be. So it's not too much, not too little, just enough to make this outcome. And that's a lot of things that I do that, like, without specification, the formula adds up to this result. So without knowing those specific numbers, you can't challenge the result. And clearly nobody alive in the story remembers how big the moon actually was. And the only time you ever get mention of the moon in actually being able to see it, is You think that's impressive? Look up, Vimkel said, his eyes wide. Chalcom followed his gaze. The ceiling was an awe-inspiring, realistic depiction of the heavens, stars shining brightly as the last light of the sun faded. Yet, another orb, not as bright, reflecting the sun's light. That would be the moon, the god of the dragons, Torg called out, pointing to the back of the room. It's a massive statue of a dragon's head! As he looked back, the dragon's eye opened. And that's the only reference you get of the moon, and immediately after, you're instantly distracted. And there's no description of size, there's no nothing, it's just, there used to be a moon. People know what a moon is in lore and history. No one believes that it's a reality, and this is the only place that it's ever been seen, and no one has ever completed the 100 Years quest and left to be able to portray that knowledge to someone else. So there are so many key points inside of that dungeon that each scene is for specifically that will come out later, but you won't know about it until they go back to the dungeon. So you'll be asking people would ask, well, why is this scene included? And why is this puzzle included? And why is this scene included? It's like, because it'll all come back when they have to go through it again. And they finally complete it and take the emerald weapon. But yeah. So I have this literally all fucking set up. But it's all so minute and so small, but it matters so much. And the fact is, 99% of people will probably never see it. Like, 99% of the people that read the book, so all 3 people that read the book would never know except me. That might be a pitfall in my new D&D world. The tidal bulges eroded away a 2-mile-deep trench 8,000 miles wide over the last 150 years. If someone wanted to, they probably could math it out, and the results probably wouldn't match. Yup. But there's always the suspension of disbelief. Anyone who maths out, like, it's one thing to be like, okay, let's math it out and let's see if the author of the story actually did the math or not. Okay, it doesn't look like the author of the story did the math. Does that diminish the story because of a realistic way? And then you could say, well, the planet was on different gravity if it's a fantasy world. Like, there's so many other variables. It's like the, one of the greatest examples I'd say is, have you ever seen, I think it's
Talk Story.
It's, game theory, Zelda Moon Falling. Is Link's quest in Majora's Mask pointless? Because the moon would just hit the tower and bounce off of it due to the physics in the game. One of the first game... Like, I think this might have actually been the video that my friend introduced me to game theory with in, like... Yeah, like, probably 2015? 2016? Yeah, according to the physics, it would just boop. So there was no actual real danger to stopping the moon from falling out of the sky. I'll be the one that maths it out. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do the math, so I just leave it ambiguous.
starts to feel artificial. It starts to feel like the author shoehorned it in there just because they weren't sure how to make the story work. So they're like, I know, more conflict. For an example of this, look at The Wilds. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. It's basically a bunch of women stranded on a desert island. And after a while, I realized all these women do is fight. And it started to feel very contrived. The writer of the show didn't take enough time to work on the harder elements of friendship or sacrifice or forgiveness or things like that. The author just took an oversimplified road of throwing in conflict after conflict after conflict, and it was too much.
There's a scene from a movie called Zero Charisma, or maybe it's No Charisma, where a guy maths out whether the Millennium Falcon or the Starship Enterprise is faster. Damn, bro. Hell yeah. That's some insane... And you know what's fucked about that? Is, like... That's literally NASA-level calculations. Like, you're calculating, like, near-to-speed light and faster-than-light travel with, like, light speed in, like, warp versus, like, hyperdrive. Or hyperspace, whatever it is in Star Wars. And it's like... That's... You have to have a full understanding of physics and everything with that. Like, that is some insane level of math.
Ursula Le Guin actually has a wonderful craft book for writers called Steering the Craft. I would recommend that you check it out. And in Steering the Craft, she writes, conflict is one type of behavior. There are others equally important in any human life, such as relating, finding, losing, bearing, discovering, parting, changing. So Le Guin is pointing out that you can't only have conflict in a story. You have to capture the other parts of human existence as well, or else your story will seem lopsided. And a great way to do that is just to include radical acts of kindness in your stories. Stuff like forgiveness, stuff like kindness, stuff like sacrifice. Now, for the next challenge, the solution might seem obvious, but I think it's a little trickier.
All the dude's friends are like, you can't compare warp drive to hyperspace, and the guy is like, I don't need to, it maths out. As long as you know the distance between planets and the amount of time it takes to get between those two planets, that's it. You don't even need the distances to be the same, or the times to be the same. You just extrapolate in a fraction. So, like, breaking it down to its base levels is actually super easy if you understand how to contrive the individual factors of the formula. And it's simply time... or distance over time equals speed. That's literally what the guy does. Yeah. See? And it's like, I could easily believe that that's how easily you could break it down, right? But... doing the actual math of it, because that's like the easy way to do it, right? Then there's like the actual way of doing it, of comparing what you might imagine, not the realities of. And that's why hypothetical, or like theory crafting mathematics to me is a lot more interesting than realistic mathematics, because the dynamics that you can go with theory and theoretical theory is you can change any variable, and you don't have, and you can contrive entirely new existences out of those variables. Like the idea of breaking down existence to the idea of PBS Spacetime did this. Is there only one way for the universe to be? Is the universe seems so fine-tuned because what's needed on a foundation to facilitate what exists needs to be so specific in specific ways to allow for the facilitation of existence itself. So it's not that it's fine-tuned, it's that this is just happens to be the only way. It's like the idea of like, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like the lowest set force or whatever of like the universe. And it's like currently we have like this level of low for the universe, but it used to be up here. But at some point in time, it dropped like this, and there's always the chance that just randomly through some sort of event, it'll drop again, and that'll just scatter all of reality. Special relativity is some insane world building. Who knows? Maybe that limit exists. Maybe the speed variable would underflow if it passed that. It's like the idea of as soon as you hit the speed of light, time doesn't exist anymore. So you could go anywhere in the universe you wanted instantly to your perspective, but to the outside perspective, it would take the amount of time. So it's not so much that light has a speed limit as time has a speed limit. And light is just constrained by the speed of time. And I think PBS Space-Time also did this thing on, is it the speed of light, or is it the speed of time? And there's some pretty good, what's the word? I'm forgetting the word. Like reasonings, like justifications for why it's actually the speed of time and not the speed of light. And that's the reason why light gets all fucked up, or travel gets all fucked up when you go to the speed of light. Because you're no longer confined by the speed of time, which causes your movements to affect time in like a bubble, essentially. But then there's the also the idea of, could you use that to your advantage for like time travel? Is wormhole theory actually just time travel in a different way, and it skips the speed of light or the speed of time and allows light to travel without the connection to time, so you could travel anywhere instantly through a wormhole? And then if you think of time as a fourth spatial dimension, you essentially just always have a constraint speed, just your direction changes and stuff. Exactly. And it's like, so you have like if time is the fourth dimension, then you have your X, Y, and Z axis, and time is actually location on that axis. Because you can only be located in your current time where you are. And that's another perception of it.
Than that, let's look at number 4, subplot orphaning. So,
all right. Is this like where you like screw something up down the storylines that your subplots basically get dead-ended?
Subplot orphaning is just when you start up some very intriguing and interesting subplots, but then somehow as the main plot takes over, those subplots get forgotten. And
yeah, basically. Overwritten by main plot and forgotten. Let's fizzle out into dead ends. So you always gotta have, when you're thinking of the subplot, I'm the type of person that starts at the end. So think of what is the end outcome and then reverse engineer backwards how you got to that outcome. And that's probably one of the greatest things I've learned in writing over the last like month and a half is categorizing how I do that. And that's always having a North Star. I always have a direction to go, a place to look, a roadmap to observe in order to figure out where I am and how things fit together and if everything is going in the right direction, if continuity is solid.
and drop to the bottom of the barrel. This makes readers very angry, obviously, because they have expectations that are unresolved, and then they give you bad reviews, and you go and cry in a corner of your house. So don't orphan your subplots. Now let me address two concerns that I see pretty frequently in stories. One, most writers don't forget the subplot entirely.
Subplots need steady reminders throughout.
Most writers will come at the end of the book and be like, oh yeah, that subplot. Let me wrap that up quickly. But the trouble with that is you need the subplot to be interspersed evenly throughout your story. You can't have a strong subplot for first half of the book and then all of a sudden a whole gap and then address it again at the end. That's a problem. So identify one of your subplots and then map out where that subplot occurs over the course of your story. Make sure it's spaced out evenly and throughout the whole book. The second subplot concern is a little bit trickier. And honestly, I see a lot of very experienced writers fall prey to this one.
Metaphor I've come up with in the past is this. Think of your velocity like a long vertical stick. As you push the stick, it tilts, causing its lateral distance to increase, but its height to decrease. As you push it more and more due to leverage, it will take more force in that same direction to tilt it further, requiring infinite force to truly make it horizontal. But then once it is horizontal, it is stuck there. You can't tilt it because there is no torque. Foggy metaphor math-wise. Yes, but I understand the base of the idea of where you're coming from with the logic and the visualization of trying to prop a lever, essentially. And I think visualization is more important, because then more people can, like, catch on to it, right? Fucking ads! I fucking hate ads. I just go, fuck themselves. Y'all know we hate ads. We hate ads! Bad! I hate ads by both Twitch users and WoW players. True. Ah, shit, guys. We got 2 more packs on our ass. Should we run or not? Run. Run. Why the fuck did you run, Pirate Software, you little fucking bitch? You should have stayed and helped. Leroy Jenkins. So fucking good. Peak fucking internet. Do you see my mana? What am I supposed to do for you? He said run. I ran. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or whats. Alright, guys, all we gotta do is go around this corner and don't run. Don't worry about it. Hey, why are you guys running? Guys, why are you running? Oh, Tyler 1's dead. We never said run, guys. Why did you run? Oh my god. How the tables turn!
Sometimes with subplots you see some...
Oh. Sean, making me back-to-back toke, motherfucker? Making me back-to-back toke? Shit. That's deep. That's deep, bro. You're getting in there. You're getting those points spent, you know? We all know Sean really cares for me. He's keeping that up. Tyler 1 is the true war chief. He embodies the best values of the Horde. I agree, Wombat. I absolutely agree, man. I fucking... Tyler 1 is like Artosis on crack. Best example of this. Well... Okay, I wasn't even gonna say this, but like, you just instantly get a clip of it.
Where are my tanks? They won't come up the ramp! Why? I click them and they just don't do it! I have a fucking million more tanks than it doesn't matter!
Emotional damage.
It should be on here somewhere. One of like the last few ones. Bunker repair failed.
What the fuck?
Oh, my favorite one is this one though. Where is it? What did he just say? Wait, what did he just say? What?
I cry every day when I get off the fucking stream. Just go upstairs and sob. And my wife hits me with a paddle because apparently I like fucking pain and misery. Well, of course I sit to piss. My weak Terran legs aren't strong enough to hold me standing. And my tiny fucking Terran micro penis can't aim at the toilet. And before I go, I have to say, Daddy Protoss, may I please pee in the toilet?
Poor Artosis. I was gonna say, did you take the toke or got distracted? I was just delaying, man. I knew this was gonna happen. It was two tokes too close together. Subplot spinning wheels.
Spinning wheels, which means the subplot keeps getting addressed periodically throughout the book, but it feels like it's not advancing the storyline in any way. Every single scene with your subplot needs to get us a little bit closer.
I often see little things and say, it's a teen, like my ween.
To the conclusion.
Damn, there we go. Perfect.
So here's what I want you to do. Little exercise time. Bust out a sheet of paper or something, and I want you to create a timeline of your subplots throughout your book. Have little lines for all your chapters, and then have little dots or something that show where your subplot appears. Next, you should just say a word or a phrase that indicates how this particular subplot section drives the story forward. If you have a large gap between dots, that lets you know, okay, you're not doing this.
Yeah, I might actually zero my points this time. You ever watched Alpha Star in like 2018? DeepMind made a StarCraft 2 AI that demolished pros. Oh yes, yes, Alpha Star, yes. There's actually I'm pretty sure both Tasteless and Artosis did a thing on it.
What?
It's never gonna happen, Sean. It's never gonna happen. Never going to happen. Fuck! Yeah, he does like a 2.5 hour analysis of it. And then there's Alpha Star versus Serral. And Serral's the #1, like, player, like, StarCraft 2 player in the world. Because the Koreans don't own StarCraft 2. And then he did an analysis on it. Well, I didn't lose at least. Well, there you go. That's important. Yeah, that shit is crazy though.
Often enough. And if you can't come up with a particular word or a phrase that describes how the subplot is moving forward, then that's a good sign that you might be spinning your wheels. Now, this 5th challenge might have the best title in this entire video. Kind of proud of it, I gotta say. It's number 5, Genre Gravity Wells.
Ooh, that's actually pretty good. Genre Gravity Wells. Well, I was at 14, so maybe I'm at 7 now. Holy shit, Wombat, you are stacking those points. Holy fuck. That's some crazy shit, bro.
So what I find is when authors reach the end of their book, they sometimes are struggling to know how to finish it off. And so what happens is they...
Alright, gotta head out. Have a good night, man. Alright, Wombat, have a great day. Thanks for hanging out and having some fun, brother. Always good, man. Take care of yourself. We'll see you in the next one, bruh.
Sort of get sucked into these familiar genre conventions because they're struggling to come up with something, and these are just the first storytelling techniques that they think about. Please, please resist the gravitational pull to make your story conform to a tired old trope, something that readers have seen a billion times before. What you want to do is take the level of
Shit, that's my ending. I mean, it's a unique way of doing it, but it's the scale of the battle has grown so massive that it can no longer be basically comprehended. You're on celestial scales now. Planets fighting black holes.
That you applied to your first chapter, and make sure you apply that toward the end of your book too. Don't run out of steam. And let's look at an example of this from David Mitchell, who is the author of Cloud Atlas, but we're actually looking at another book by him called The Bone Clocks. Now, hey, I am a big David Mitchell fan, but I did not like The Bone Clocks, and I think I figured out why. What I love about David Mitchell is his sheer originality. Like, Cloud Atlas was a groundbreaking novel with all of these different worlds colliding into one another. And even a good percentage of The Bone Clocks I enjoyed quite a bit. But then, when we get to the end of The Bone Clocks, he just throws in this really bad storyline of immortal beings fighting with each other and like a gigantic, confusing fight scene that bears no resemblance to most of the book that had been written. See, most of the book felt very original, but then the ending felt very cliche, and that is a problem you want to try to avoid.
Shit.
Listen, I have made videos about endings before.
So I keep asking, is our ending a cop-out? Is it cliche? Is it dumb? I don't know. These are questions, my friends. These are questions.
I discuss endings a lot in my novel course, but you have to make sure that you do the work of like focusing on that ending to make it as non-cliche and as perfectly right for your story as possible. The sixth challenge that writers face when writing their novel is trite problems as
Trite problems as gargantuan plots.
Gargantuan plots. Do you ever get frustrated when you read something where the entire problem of the whole plot could be solved by a single text message or email or line?
Large, overdrawn plot seems to have a simple answer that is just not addressed. And I think to most people, this is like the biggest one from like specifically Lord of the Rings. Why didn't the eagles just fly them to Mordor? But it's like in the lore, the eagles were doing their own thing. They had their own shit to deal with. Like that's like gonna throw out a random Stargate SG-1 analogy here. That'd be like if the Asgard could deal with the Goa'uld because they weren't dealing with the replicators. But it's like the reason that the Asgard can't interfere and are barely holding the line is because they're losing against the replicators in their own galaxy. So, you know, the people that have the technology and ability and have always protected humanity are on the brink of extinction due to replicators. So it's like, oh, well, why don't they just come in and help? Well, it's like they can't. And it's like, that's kind of like the same thing with my book, where it's like, well, if there's these dragons, why don't the dragons come in and help? Well, it's because the dragons are stabilizing the world, while the octopi are building the machines that can facilitate the original currents and tides that were caused by the moon. Because without the moon, the oceans became stagnant and the world started to die. So the octopi went to the dragons and were like, yo, we're building the technology, but we don't have enough time. Can you guys facilitate holding up the currents long enough for us to get these machines in place for the tides to be fixed? And then by the end of the story, it doesn't even matter because the world's going to blow up anyway, so the dragons just come out. But it's like their whole thing is the reason why they're not there is because they have a secondary story conflict that's usually not stated until extremely later. But you don't even really know about the dragons until later. It's just in lore. But then once you find out that Fafnir exists, it's like, well, maybe these other things do, because, you know, things in the world are starting to line up pretty well with, like, the Beastman histories and their idea of the world versus what the non-existent history of the tree.
Of dialogue, because that frustrates me. It's sort of like an upside down pyramid where this little tiny issue that could be so easily resolved ends up creating this gargantuan pyramid of problems. And yes, I know you could say like, oh, this is true to life and stuff, but I find that narratively speaking, it creates sort of this weak hinge for your story. The entire story is hinging on this very, very small detail that could be so easily solved. For an example of this, let's look at the miscommunication trope. Maybe the character didn't say anything, or maybe they said something and it was completely misinterpreted, but somehow two characters were speaking past each other or not speaking at all to each other. I think this is a problem because we like to see our protagonists as being semi-competent and smart, and when there's something that could have so easily solved the problem, we're like, come on, why didn't you do that? Ideally, you want the size of the problems in your novel to be proportional to the size of your plot. If you have a gigantic plot, there needs to be a genuinely big problem that creates that plot. Now, I know there are exceptions to this, and feel free to name some of those in the comments section, but I'll just name one exception. It's an old Christmas movie, and I watch it every year. It's kind of my favorite. White Christmas. There's basically a whole plot around someone eavesdropping and then misunderstanding what they hear, and it creates the friction in the story. But I will say it's a very innocent movie with kind of low stakes, so having a low stakes problem matches the low stakes plot. Now, if you do use a miscommunication trope, my advice is to make it part of a minor plot point rather than the whole plot point that the whole book hinges upon. Now, for this next point, I'm going to guess that 99% of writers watching this are immediately going to start nodding and being like, oh, yeah, that's my problem. It is number 7, narrative climate shifts. This
Being in first person kind of removes this. But we'll see.
This is when you unintentionally change the tone of your book in between different sections.
Changing tone of the book at different times
of your novel. And the reason that this happens is it takes a long time to write a novel, right? You know this. And sometimes your vision for the book changes over the course of writing it. Sometimes you just get better. And so the second half of your book, you can tell you gain some skills than from when you were writing at the beginning of the book. And then in some of the books that I edit, there ends up being a kind of genre shift over the course. And by the way, if you do want to consult with me on editing your book, I'm gonna put a link to that in the description below. For instance, I've edited books that start off as more literary realism, and then somehow by the end, they shift into more Caped Crusader vigilante sort of storylines. I've edited other books that start off as kind of being more poetic, historical novels, and then shift into more rom-com territory. Now, to solve this problem, what you want to do is, first of all, decide which side do you prefer? Is it the second half of the book or is it the first half of the book? Some of the time, the right choice is entirely to change one section of the book and bring it up to speed to match the other section. And then the other choice would be to make both sides change so they can both be a little bit similar to each other. For the 8th challenge that writers face, let's look at number 8, the decay curve. This is when
the curve. The decay curve. Is this like Half-Life?
The beginning of a novel is much more polished than the end of the novel.
Blessed, hey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. How are you today, good sir? We are doing the challenges of writing a story. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Shouldn't do drugs. Drugs are bad. DKK. Hell yeah, Blessed. That's what it's all about, brother.
And writers, we know why this is. We work so hard to get the beginning just right, and we comb over it 10,000 times. But then, by the time that we've reached the end of a novel,
hell yeah, brother.
We're rushing. We're trying to finish the book. We're writing those climactic scenes that we've had in our brains for so long, and it's going really quickly. So it's just a little less polished because we spent less time on it. And Zadie Smith, who has written books like White Teeth and Swing Time, wrote about this in a collection of essays called Changing My Mind. And the specific
Been in
essay
flow
I'm
after
drawing
2
this
cups
from
of
is called
coffee?
That
Nice.
Crafty Feeling. She talks about how the very first 20 pages of her book, she winds it up. There's this obsessive level to detail where like everything has to be just perfect. And so for her, part of the process of writing a novel is once she's finished the novel, she has to go back to those first 20 pages and unwind them a little bit, make them a little bit more casual. She describes it as letting a little air in, which I love that metaphor. And then obviously there's the flip side where once you write the ending, you have to make sure you pay equal attention to crafting it and getting it just right to mirror the perfectionism that you showed at the beginning of your novel. For our last and final challenge.
KVI Fox, thank you for the follow, brother. Hell yeah. I worked on my song, Selfish. I have 2 verses and 2 choruses. Nice, Blessed, hell yeah. Bridge is next. Awesome, dude. Fuck yeah.
Why?
What, why are you smoking?
Okay, are you a writer, a reader, a purveyor of ideas and creativity? Do you enjoy sharing stories, listening to stories, and just overall sharing ideas, exploring ideas, and being in a creative space? Where we just kind of do whatever the fuck we want? Like, take a toke. Just to elongate this react as long as possible. Right? That's what it's all about. We're going back to like the 2-hour reacts, bros. I analyzed my writing and I write like James Joyce. Ooh, nice. I apparently, like, how to say this? I took my stories and I was like, I forget what the word is, but it's the analysis of writing to see if it has the same writer. It starts with like it's like synchronicity or something like that. And basically I gave it like 5 of my stories, and it said that they were written by 5 different people. And then when I said I wrote them all, it was like, I think it's synchronicity. Let me see, hold on. Constant synchronicity is the use in psychology, particularly Carl Jung, in terms of meaningful coincidences. Maybe it's not the same, seemingly unrelated. No, maybe that's not it. Ah, stilometry. There it is. Stilometry. Yeah, and that's like, you take a bunch of works and you figure out who if you can see if it was all written by the same person, because of like the word choice and stuff like that. But because of the way that I write so off base, it's always a little bit out there for it. Welcome back. Yeah, stylometry. Good shit.
That writers have to struggle with. Let's look at number 9, payoff deflation. This is
payoff deflation. Guessing over a period of the story, the amount of payoff is not equal to the conflict or the plot of the story in scale and measure.
This is when the final resolution in your book gets a lot less page time than what you devoted to the buildup, which leaves the reader feeling like there's kind of an imbalance. Now, if I stop the video right here, see that? That's called payoff deflation. You've been waiting this entire video for me to get to number 9 and explain what it is. And if I only gave, say, 5 or 10 seconds to it, you'd be like, wait, what was that?
Yeah,
You would
what
feel
did you
cheated.
do?
But a lot of authors do that with their novels. We have been waiting for the entire novel to see like the payoff, to see what happens. And it happens in like 2 pages and we're done. Now, this isn't about...
No, that's not fair. The entire ending, though, to be fair, like, let's say the... How would you say this? The plan being in place, everything set into motion, all the characters have to do is travel from where they are to the tree. Get through the tree to the monarch's palace, get through the monarch's palace to the monarch, fight the monarch and the viceroy inside of the palace, or something like that. Maybe they pull them outside, because we still don't know how that fight is going to be facilitated. Whether they break out of the tree, or it was going to be like the monarch meeting them outside of Ifrit. I did that for a while in my speech, but I'm fixing it. Yeah. And then, it's like that entire thing, plus the fight and everything, is probably like 10 chapters. There aren't really any allies in the tree. Like, just like the allies in the tree, like I'm wondering how I'm going to incorporate, like, let's say family members of adventurers that aren't adventurers, people that, like, you know, want to go back, because like one of the main things is people just want to go back and be able to see their families. Like, a lot of people just straight up, just like for no fucking reason at all, just got displaced by this exodus of the adventurers. So there's, like, you know, people are, it's basically like having to leave the country and leaving your family behind, because your family weren't, like, if anyone was a crafter, all crafters are basically kicked out because they have affiliations with the Adventurers Guild. Any kind of ownership of any material that's not the tree material is basically like you get thrown out. So, like, it kind of fucks everything up. And people just have nowhere to go and just flood into Ifrit, and it's this massive immigration problem. And then people outside the tree have never survived outside the tree. They don't, like, they've never taken the, like, there's so many things that are just fucked because of this happening that I have to take into consideration. And it's like, how do I do that? Because still nothing's set in stone of how it's done. What the degree of adventures. Maybe only if you have an adventurer's license. But it somehow has to incorporate shutting down the forge. Because they have to lose the forge that's inside of the tree. That's, like, super important. So there needs to be a facilitation of some kind of event that allows them to lose the forge. And there, a name of a character type that doesn't change to compare with the changed protagonist. Like a family member or a friend who's not an adventurer. Maybe Zaid's family? Oh, dude, you could do, like, Zaid's family. Because I don't know if Zaid's an orphan or what. If his parents were adventurers and he wants to be an adventurer. Like, I don't know much about Zaid's background and shit. But could definitely have those, like, political characters, like the concubine of the viceroy, the concubine of the monarch, like the heads of state, like senators, council members, like, you know, these are all, like, Husai's friends. Like, Husai's been in politics for, like, 30 years now. Like, he knows everyone of importance inside of the tree. So maybe we use, like, the political structure of the tree in that way. Samwise type guy, loyal to protagonist. Yeah, maybe it could be, like, his inside buddy who's, like, on the council or something like that, and use that kind of trope where he has, like, an inside, and he's, like, communicating with a comm pearl. And he's having, like, secret meetings with this guy. And they're like discussing like, you know, how and that's how we keep up to date with inside of the tree. Because I want to use the comm pearls as a way to facilitate seeing, like we do in Chapter 1, where it's all in Husai's perspective, but he's looking at a video. So you're watching a video through the main character's eyes. So you're technically experiencing third person through first person. Which allows for a lot of things due to the technology of the comm pearl. So that gives a lot of leeway for stuff. And how people can communicate with their families. So it's like, oh, you can call them, but you can't see them. So that keeps even more of an emotional connection, because you never truly lose them, like you can never ever communicate with them. You can still talk to them, you just can't see them. And that's another reason for the entire Adventurers Guild to push out the Monarch and reset the entirety of the tree. And maybe the Fanatics take the bottom 15? And this is where the bottom 15 all of a sudden become important to the story, because the bottom 15 become the people defending the tree from the adventurers. And we got sex-crazed, drug-induced, violent murderers. It's fucking beautiful. It's perfect. Ads. Fuck ads. We all hate ads. Ads are bullshit. Bullshit. Ads are bullshit. Fuck ads. Fuck ads, bitch. Bullshit. Fuck ads, bro. That's some bullshit right there. What are your distribution marketing plans? My aunt owns a publishing company. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's my plan. For marketing, word of mouth through all of my friends, because all of my friends that I've ever talked to always say they want to read my book, so I'm holding to that standard. If you're my friend, you're going to read my book when I print it out. I don't care if it takes you 10 years, you're going to read my book. So that's like 50 or 60 different like non-family members, probably 120 family members, maybe even more if we're talking like in 20 years from now. So then we've got like my niece and my nephew, they'd be in college at that point, and maybe out of college at that point. And you know, my my other friend's starting to become a professor. My other friend works in cruise lines. See? Word of mouth is super powerful. You know the right people, you get them to say the right things, you get them to nudge. I've been thinking about this for 20 years. Like, since I was in high school. So, like, all of my high school friends that I still talk to and shit like that I just don't live near anymore. So yeah, it's like a shit ton of people. And my parents golf. They're huge on that. So yeah, the main thing is like I've got word of mouth down. Influences how things get done. Yep. The only problem with that is the experiment that I've done is I'm handing out like my YouTube talk stories to people, but most of these people are old, right? So it's like, oh, they don't necessarily know how to use the YouTube. So like, if I had an actual book that they could buy, that's a little bit different than being like, oh, you should check out my stories on my YouTube. They're like, you what? Sorry. The YouTube, yeah. Just like we had earlier, we were talking about old fucks earlier and how the new generation is going to be so glad that they inherit the fucking earth. Oh, here's a better clip of it. Here's the full clip.
Drove it around there really well.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer.
Everything's computer. Everything's computer.
That's beautiful.
Everything's computer. So fucking great. That's the goddamn president of the fucking United States, guys. Everything's computer.
Tying off loose narrative threads. You can tie off all the loose ends of a story in a very short amount of time. What we're talking about is pacing. What we're talking about is proportion. If you write an 800-page book and then spend 3 pages quickly wrapping it all up, you're gonna make readers really angry at you. If you write, say, a 300-page book and then spend, say, 10 pages wrapping everything up, that gives the reader enough time to process the ending and they're gonna feel satisfied by that. So 3 very quick pieces of advice for what to do in a situation like this. 1, you want to give the reader the feeling
of an ending. Feel safe knowing he controls a computer. It's a very scary thought, thinking about the other world leaders that have nuclear weapons, too. I mean, it's amazing that the only nuclear weapons that ever actually been used in any fight ever was in Japan. Everything else has been testing. It has never, ever been used outside of Nagasaki and Hiroshima as an actual weapon in any capacity. And that's actually fucking amazing at how... And think about this. The nukes now are like thousands and thousands and thousands of times, if not tens of thousands of times stronger than those nukes. It's fucking scary what we could actually do. And the best part about it is, you know, people say save the Earth? Unless we physically actually blow up the Earth is always going to be here. The Earth don't care if it looks like Mars, if it's like Venus, or if it's like fucking Mercury. The Earth is still going to be here as a planet. Life may not be here, but Earth will be. We just fucking won't. So I love the save Earth. No, you're selfish. You're saving yourself. At least save the animals. Okay, yeah, sure. I could go along with that. Fuck it. Why not?
Of an ending to help them feel like they're winding down. 2, the ending is a way to subtly congratulate
the reader for reaching the end.
the reader for sticking with you for the whole book. And so this is time for catharsis. This is time to give the reader that feeling like, oh man, I'm really glad I completed this. And then 3, this is the moment to ease the reader out from the world of the book and ease them back into the real world. If you do that too quickly, it's gonna be unpleasant for the reader. You have to like usher them gently.
George Carlin, Earth will shake us off like a bug. Yup. Earth in and of itself is its own living being, right?
Out of the world of the book. Give them some time to process the fact that the book is coming to a close. I hope all that advice was very helpful as you're writing your novel.
Very much
Please
so.
check out the links in the description for copy editing,